Where to Hunt podcast. It's okay. It's okay.
Hi, I'm Dan Small, host of Outdoor Wisconsin, and I listen to Where to Hunt.
It's okay.
I'm Kurt Geyer with Working Class Bow Hunter. I listen to Where to Hunt podcast, and it's decent.
It's all right.
Hey, this is Bud Fisher with Catching Deers, and I think the Where to Hunt podcast is all right.
All right. Greg, you can say stuff now. Oh, hey, Greg, I didn't mute you, did I? Oh, you know what? I totally muted both of you by doing that, didn't I? 1 second here. Oh, hey, Greg, you're unmuted now.
You silly man.
I forgot you're not in the studio. We're practicing social distancing.
Following protocol.
The distance from my brain to my mouth is increased, too. I can't think straight today or talk right.
Yeah, you socially distanced your brain to your mouth.
All right, dude. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name's Eric. I'm one of the hosts of this silly thing. And Greg, what are you?
Having your co-host
Co-host,
all the way out here in the middle of nowhere.
Blog writer, archery, arrow builder, like a modern day bow shooting MacGyver. So
that's quite an accomplishment.
You're a pretty accomplished guy. I mean, you built the table we're sitting at. I'm sitting at. You're not here today. I feel like you are here in spirit somehow. Like,
yeah.
I just want to look you in the eye and talk to you. But anyway, hey, let's call out our sponsors here. We're getting weird. That's my fault. So
yeah, get to it. You're getting a little emotional.
I know. Hey, I'm drinking this coffee. I did find reserves. I know I ran out a little bit, but I forgot I had another bag like up here for display. So backwoodsgrind.com. If you head on over to their website, it smells delicious. And, you know, as the grocery stores are literally running out of everything, including toilet paper and coffee. And if you're drinking more coffee and you're spending time at home using your own shitter, and then you're wiping your ass with, you know, toilet paper, you're really going to run out. But you also are going to run out of coffee. And you're pooping more because you're drinking coffee. It's kind of this cyclical thing. Anyway, you can avoid the grocery store altogether and just go to backwoodsgrind.com and enter in code W2H podcast and save 10%. That's what I was trying to say the whole time.
Yep. Okay. And order some delicious coffee from Backwoods Grind.
Gumleaf USA, gumleafusa.com. These guys make incredible boots. I wore I wore my pair over the weekend. And Greg, I think you took yours on another trek.
Well, I had mine on today, and I had mine on Saturday, and I wear them all the time now, pretty much whenever I'm headed out to the field. And hopefully I'm going to be getting them wet in some walleye water here soon.
Ooh, that sounds good. Well, you know, for the record, they are rubber boots. They do have an insulated kind, an insulated zipped kind, and an uninsulated kind. And they're comfortable, they're durable, they're 85% natural rubber. They're really nice boots. So head on over to gumleafusa.com, take a look, watch their videos, and then if you want to save 10%, you can enter in code W2H2020. And lastly, musket powder. Homemade, camp tested musket powder. Go to musketpowder.com. It's a seasonal. Put on everything, add a little bit, and then add some more and completely cover. I see you using it every day.
I did. Yeah, I did make some barbecue with it today.
Well, you made barbecue out of the seasoning?
Dude, you didn't even look at the story, did you?
I did. I'm just messing
Not
with
that
you,
I would
man.
expect you to, because you're pretty busy. Yeah.
Go to musketpowder.com, enter in code W2H podcast, and you're going to buy one, get one. So buy one, share with your friend, be greedy, do whatever you want. Actually, I would say probably don't be greedy now, but it's good stuff. And with that, we got a guest on the line with us. Steph, you still hanging out there with us, or did you decide that we're crazy and you bailed?
I'm still here.
We sound like a couple of idiots.
We are a couple of idiots.
We like what we do, so it's all good.
So Steph, I'm not going to try to say your last name. You're gonna have to help me out here. Busenbark?
Busenbark. Busenbark. Yeah, like beer tree. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Booze and bark. Well, that could have been the name of the whole thing.
Yeah. Right.
But we went with Woods and Water Project instead, which sounds way, way cooler. At least less alcoholic.
I do have 2 drinks right now, so.
You did come prepared. You know what you're getting into here.
I did.
That's good news. Well, tell the audience a little bit about yourself. So you're on the show. You're hanging out with us. We got an hour together at least. And, some of the questions I ask out of the gate is, where are you from? How long you been hunting? What do you like to hunt? What's your weapon of choice? Do you hunt public or private?
Oh, boy. Okay, so I'm Steph Busenbark. I'm from eastern Iowa, a small town called DeWitt, Iowa. It's near the Quad Cities, if you're familiar. I grew up hunting since I was 5 years old. My dad took me waterfowl hunting for the first time. My first memory, it's pretty vivid, and he took me with him every season since then. So I've been hunting majority of my life. I hunt with everything. So weapon of choice, primarily bow. I am an archery instructor, so I do try to bow hunt as much as possible, but I love rifle, shotgun just as much, pretty close. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell as far as hunting. And then I started a company this past year called Woods and Waters Project. It's a podcast, and I put together events related to the outdoors. And that's it.
That's exciting. Greg, I'm supposed to let you ask some questions. I'll let you ask questions while I pour up my scotch. Happy St. Patty's Day, guys, by the way.
Will you shut up? God. Yeah, no problem. Pour your scotch, man. Pour your scotch. So that's pretty cool that you are doing that, trying to get women involved in the outdoors, getting them into hunting. Is that what Woods and Waters Project is all about? Is it just about getting women, or is it about getting everybody in?
It's about everybody. I am putting together classes and events that are more geared towards women specifically. Just being a young woman that's involved in these things is, I've found in my area, which is really surprising, must be pretty rare, because I do get pulled into a lot of different things. I work with a lot of conservation groups and a lot of organizations to do women's events, because there's a big call to attract women into the outdoors, especially related to hunting, so we can keep, the sport alive. So I do a lot with women specifically, but I'm also putting together co-ed events, and my podcast is men and women of all ages. So
you had posted not that long ago. I have no concept of time, by the way, but I think you had posted like, hey, I'm going to do this co-ed thing, and what are some of your thoughts as a group? And by the way, I don't care what the answer ends up being, because we're going to do it anyways. But did that event happen, or is that still happening, or is that not going to happen because of the coronavirus going around? Where is that all at?
Yeah, the co-ed events that I was planning would be for May, June, and then into the summer.
Okay.
So hopefully that's far enough out that those can still happen. I haven't posted much on those recently because of, like you just said, the coronavirus, and not sure if people would even be thinking about something like that right now. But it's definitely still going to happen, pending this gets better and the coronavirus and everything, and we can put those events together hopefully soon.
So you're doing a lot of, like, so let's just pretend the coronavirus isn't a thing right now. How many events have you put together for Woods and Water Project so far?
Primarily I've been putting together women's events, and I've put together or been a part of about a dozen archery events specifically. I am a USA archery coach. Archery is kind of my sweet spot. It's where I feel the best and like most at home, but I love everything related to the outdoors, so I'm expanding outside of that. But I've done a lot of intro to archery, bow hunting classes, workshops. I partnered with an organization called Field to Fork, where we took myself and 9 mentors, mentored 10 new hunters. So they have never hunted before, never shot a bow typically before for most of them. And we took 10 weeks with them, from never hunting, never shooting a bow, to being proficient, pulling back at least 40 pounds and taking them hunting for the first time.
Wow.
that was extremely rewarding, and being a part of that like just solidified everything that I want to keep doing. So a lot of my future events are related to bow hunting, but we'll be doing a lot of stuff like waterfowl hunting, coon hunting, skinning, and tanning, stuff related to fly fishing, salmon fishing. So lots of things.
That's a wide gambit. Where are you doing a lot of that stuff?
I'm going to primarily focus in the Midwest, mostly Eastern Iowa, but we'll do some things in Northeastern Iowa and then Minnesota, Wisconsin as well.
Yeah, that sounds really ambitious. I mean, salmon fishing in particular, you got a ways to go to get to some salmon water. Either you're going all the way to Lake Superior or good old Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
Is that is that the type of salmon fishing you're
it's not
talking
by
about? Or
myself.
are you going to find some like streams or something like that, or what or rivers? Wherever salmon dwell. Because I know Greg does salmon fishing on the big lake.
Yeah. So I'll be working with the salmon fishing in particular. We'll be working with, I'm looking at a couple different groups to partner with on that. That's definitely not going to be just self-guided by myself. That would be a learning opportunity for me as well. So there's some things that, that I'm proficient in and I can work with the DNR in to make happen myself. And then some of these events are just to build that community around something and doing something fun together, especially for women. I get a lot of emails and messages about, hey, would you take me hunting? Would you take me fishing? Would you do this with me? Or will you put a group together? And if you do, let me know, because I want to be part of a community like that. It happens all the time. So some of the things are really me being the teacher, and other things are me being alongside of these women or people learning with them.
Yeah,
it just depends.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be able to get a hold of a pretty decent charter, and some of the charter captains are pretty good about showing you what's going on the boat. Others are, it's just like anything else. You find people that are willing to help and willing to teach, and then you got guys that just kind of do their thing and they're quiet to themselves and they go about their business.
Where do you fall on that spectrum, Greg?
I've never done it. What's that?
Where you fall on that spectrum as a charter captain?
No.
Are you volunteering yourself?
Captain. There's no certification.
I think Greg wants to take you guys.
Boat's only big enough for 2 other people. Remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Walleye boat. A little walleye boat. But I'm just sharing some whatever, I wouldn't even call it expertise, but advice that I would say if you're going to have a group of people, 6 to 8 people, you can fit them on a good sized charter boat. And if the seas are calm, everybody should be okay. But seasickness is kind of a big thing. People
Definitely.
get pretty ambitious. Yeah, they get ambitious about it. They get out there, everything's cool for a little while, and then all of a sudden they turn green. So have your Dramamine with.
So, okay, and then you said...
I'm pretty sure that would be me.
When you said waterfowl hunting too... Yeah, dude, by the way, don't take your eyes off the horizon. That's the trick. I never got seasick in my life, and then one time went below deck to take a piss. I came back up, and I was like, whoa, what's happened? I totally understand now. I had no empathy for anybody. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Why are you sick, pansy? And then it happened to me, and I was like, oh, that was the worst thing ever. Terrible. You just did an event, though. Like, were you just hunting some birds?
Yeah. One of the best things about the podcast is being a part of so many groups. I've met some really freaking amazing people, like, on a regular basis, and have become friends with some really great people. One of them happens to be a snow goose guide. And he invited me over and down to Missouri to go snow goose hunting for the first time. And it was a blast. It was so much fun. I'd never done that before, and it was definitely an experience.
How did you prepare for that? What did you have to do for someone who's never done that before? What was that like? Was it similar to other things?
I mean, I kind of just showed up with my shotgun, and just like the first day I got there, I didn't actually hunt. My friend just kind of put me to work and made me put the decoys out and help with the spread and learn as I go, like understanding why they set it up the way they do, the flight patterns of the birds, like how they come in, how you pick your field. It kind of gave me those lessons and what to look for before we actually hunted the second day. But honestly, it was just, I was in a lay down blind. So you just obviously wait till they're kind of right above your face, sit up and shoot.
That's kind of freaking awesome. I would just fall asleep. Probably.
It's like the best naps ever. I had the best weather, so when it was slow, I was just sleeping most of the time.
That's like going to the movie theater and like, oh, we have these Dreams lounge seats where you can recline and it's heated. I'm like, well, I'm a parent. Like, I'm just gonna sleep now. This is really comfortable.
I was spoiled. Like the weather was perfect, and I met up with I didn't know anyone besides the guide. I actually was hunting with half a dozen guys from South Carolina, like the bottoms of South Carolina with these like deep southern drawls, the nicest guys ever. So just complete strangers, just me and complete strangers, snow goose hunting in Missouri. It was an experience.
That's cool. That's cool. And that's cool that like as a woman you're comfortable and confident in doing that, and people are treating you with the respect that you deserve in that space. Like it's not something you have to be fearful of or anything like that. I'm glad to hear that you're able to do those things.
Yeah. It makes people nervous. Like my dad and some people don't love that I do stuff like that, right? But I definitely felt safe, and I was in really good company, and they treated me like one of them the entire time.
So lots of farts and things like that.
Yeah, like they weren't, once they like warm up, they start swearing around me eventually and tell dirty jokes, and it's all good.
It's good to go.
It takes a day usually. Yeah.
So waterfowl hunting, salmon fishing. Is turkey coming up for you guys in Iowa too?
Yes, it's so close. It's like a week and a half away. It's my favorite. Turkey hunting is my favorite, by the way. So very excited.
I'm just waiting for Greg to chime in here. I can't look at him.
Does he hate turkeys?
No, I'm just trying to give him the space to ask the questions. I'm trying to not be so quick.
Yeah. The snow goose hunt is something you could totally handle, Eric. I've done it a few times. Sleep. It's fun. Yeah, hang out in a layout blind and wait for geese to come by. If you're gonna fall asleep, don't do it with your mouth open, because if they do fly over,
that's a good point.
Might be bombs away.
I could just see myself falling asleep and like waking up to Eric, get the fuck up. That's cool. So do you have?
But they're so.
Do you have a freezer full of snow goose now? Did you? Sorry, I'm good at interrupting. Okay. My bad.
They're when you watch them, like when they're really far up there, it's like tantalizing because they're like crisscrossing over each other, and then when they get hungry, they ball up in these big groups and they make a bunch of like chatter noise. So it would wake you up. Like I honestly think for the most part, like you wouldn't sleep through it, because as they get closer, and about like the guide says, like sit on your face, like you wake up. So you wouldn't have to worry about that.
That's awesome. I went duck hunting with a guide, and unfortunately I think it was just one of those things where they were there one day and then they were gone the next, and I was there the next day, of course, and the okayest hunter had the okayest luck. I just didn't see a damn thing. But we were just standing in this water and waders the whole time. I'm like, man, I just want to sit down at some point, and that wasn't an option. I was just like, all right, so here we are, and that was my only experience with it. No ducks and just standing in water. Now we did eat, a lot of venison sticks, so that was nice. But that was kind of it. But you're a big turkey hunter, so
this year.
You love turkey hunting. What do you love about turkey hunting? What's the excitement there? That's your favorite thing, even more than whitetail?
I think so. Yeah. Like, and honestly, I've thought a lot about this. It really depends. And it really depends on the company that I'm with too. But turkey hunting and upland, like bird hunting, are two of my favorite things. deer hunting, like with a bow. Those three are my top three for sure. But turkey, I don't even know what it is. It's just that the hoot owls in the morning, and like when the toms, like the forest like comes alive and they're calling back to you, and you get them just like coming in aggressively, like 20 yards away from you, and you hear them spit and drumming. You actually hear the like, boom, like that noise. If anyone that they make with their chest, you can feel it like on the ground. And I don't know, it just gets me really pumped up. My number one hunting goal is the Grand Slam for turkeys. I don't know, I'm obsessed. I'm not really sure what it is. I just get really excited about it.
What's the Grand Slam?
The Grand Slam is all for breeds of turkey in North America. So in Iowa and most of the United States, we have Eastern turkeys, and then we have Osceolas in Florida, and Merriam's West Coast, and then Rio Grande, closer to like Texas, Arizona.
That's awesome.
So I would like to get all four breeds. With my 870 I got when I was like a kid. I've shot every turkey that I have with my 870, and I would like to get the Grand Slam with my bow. So I'd like to get it twice.
Holy shit.
How
many people can say
goal.
they've done that with one weapon in their lifetime? You're going for round two.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, we'll see, or die trying, I guess. I just have a really fun time, and my little brother has gotten really into turkey hunting, and that's something that we'll do together. And I don't know. I can't explain it. I just like right now, like I'm like energized. I was getting a little sleepy earlier, now I'm all like out of my skin.
We got to get you some backwoods grind coffee for starters, and then we got to just talk turkey. What gets you going? Why don't you just talk about turkeys? That'll wake me up. Gobble, gobble, gobble. So what kind of call do you use? Use the one that goes, like, what's that call that goes in your mouth, Greg?
Dude,
what is that called?
You got to work on your turkey call. You got to work on your yelp.
How's that?
I totally do. Yeah. Are you talking to me?
You're working on it. No, I'm talking to Eric.
There's a diaphragm, and then there's the what's that thing that I see the bourbon calls doing all the time?
You got a diaphragm, box call, call, a wing bone,
slate call. Which one do you use, Steph?
I use a diaphragm, and then I've been trying to do it with just my mouth, but I'm not real good at it.
Oh, come on, give it a go. Give it a go.
Someone doing that. Oh my God, no! It's not going to be good.
You have to do it on the spot. This is your moment.
Listen to Greg.
Oh, I thought that was you. I was like,
I know that's
show off. How did you do that, Greg?
No diaphragm.
How did you?
I got a voice for a boys choir, so I can do that.
I don't know what you did with your mouth. That must really impress the ladies.
I didn't do anything with my mouth. It's on the vocal cords, bro.
What? Like, what do you mean? Like, I can beatbox.
I can beatbox. If you can beatbox, you can make turkey sounds.
You can beatbox. I can beatbox with turkeys. You can beatbox with other people.
That's a talent that I have that not many know about. I'm not going to do it, but because we're not trying to beatbox.
Stupid human trick. I don't know.
That's pretty neat.
I can talk turkey.
Steph, can you do yours?
I was, but Greg stole my thunder.
Sorry, I blew you away.
Fucking thunder chicken.
No, and his is way better than mine. So.
Wow, way to go, Greg. Way to make our guests feel like they suck at life.
Except, Greg,
sorry.
can you do the owl? Can you do like a hoot owl? That's pretty decent. Yeah.
I can do it. I can do that one.
Somebody talking back to me right now. I'm in my mother-in-law's dooryard, and there's about 10 acres of woods, and we have a family of owls back here, and I just had one call back.
Shut up.
No lie.
I can do that call. It just goes like this.
Yep, there he is. He's going again.
I can't hear it.
All right.
I think it just goes, who cooks for you? Who cooks for you? Who cooks for you?
That's so good. That's my real goal. I can't not even close. That's awesome.
Holy crap.
Keep practicing, you'll get it. I mean, I had 16 years of riding around in the service truck to sound like a bird. So practice my duck call, my goose call, and my turkey calls in the truck. Otherwise, my wife would throw me out of the house.
Can you do that thing that Chansey does with Whitetail Adrenaline, where he does the buck snort wheeze?
A grunt? I've not really done a grunt or a wheeze. I'll have to practice that one on the way to work in the morning.
So we got you something there. He made you that thing, that art, right?
Yes. Yep. He did a painting of my Labrador.
That's pretty cool.
So
on
he did
feathers.
a fine job at that. It's on a turkey feather, and it has mallard wing feathers put in with it. It's pretty cool.
Interesting.
So I sent them a picture of my lab with a greenhead mallard, and he made it for me. So he painted it up for me. Looks awesome.
So, Steph, I want to ask you a couple questions about archery. And you had said that you're certified. What is that certification, or what is that called?
So I'm a level 2 archery coach with U.S. Archery. So it's a certification through U.S. Archery.
And what's a level 2? What is that? How many levels are there? Or is that high, low? Is that in the middle? Good,
it's a brown
bad?
belt, Eric.
Yeah. I think there's 5 levels. So as a level 2, you basically have access to, it's really the resources that you have access to more than anything. But like, you're insured by U.S. Archery. So if you put events together, obviously you protect yourself as far as injury goes. You also are able to teach and explore archery programs. There's a lot of opportunity to potentially teach collegiate or work with the kids in school programs as well. And honestly, it's just like good basic knowledge. Like I really didn't do it for anyone but myself. Like long story short, like I said, I grew up hunting. I started shooting a bow when I was 11 years old. And then a few years back, when I was really, really focused on my career, I grew up very blue collar, and I had a couple changes in my career path along the way, like a lot of people. And something I was really focused on was making a lot of money. And I did that for a few years where all I did was my job. I didn't really have time for hunting or anything that I loved. And even though I was working my way up and working myself to death, I wasn't having a lot of fun and I wasn't happy. So when I wasn't doing that anymore, I threw myself right back into hunting, like really hardcore, and went for the archery instructor certification because archery was always my happy place. It's like my medicine. And so I wanted to just like go full bore and get into it as fast as I could because I missed it so much. It was just a really big piece of me that I needed back. So I really just did it for that. And I've been asked my whole life to teach people how to shoot or take them hunting, and it just kind of evolved naturally. It wasn't like on purpose necessarily to turn into what it is.
That's incredible. Like
That's
the leap you have to take in your mind to kind of get over that hump of this is like, a blah, blah career to I need to go back into my roots and what makes me happy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think sometimes it was always in the back of my mind. Honestly, the way it came back to me was I'd have these long trips for work. I supported companies all over Eastern Iowa. I was an account manager. And on my long drives, I would listen to a podcast. Actually, it wasn't hunting related, but it was called Dirtbag Diaries. It's one of my favorite podcasts. And it's mostly about like through hikers, mountain climbers, that kind of thing, that dirtbag nomadic lifestyle. And it has like made me so happy. Like it was the best part of my day was listening to that and like escaping back to that. And just the outdoors in general has always been my happy place. And it like really woke me up. And it just made me want back into what I used to love so much.
That's incredible. It's hard for people to do that. It's hard for people to kind of like, I'm probably, honestly, I'm like liking this part because I'm a little stuck there myself. I'm in this career position doing what I do, but then I have this on the side. If it wasn't for this, I don't know, like I probably would be less fulfilled with that, Obviously, I have my family, but
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
professionally speaking, this is my oxygen, you know? And Greg, you got a great gig. Like you have a company that you're proud to work for that has good people and it's right around your knowledge base, everything that you learned in the industry. That's a
Right.
fascinating thing to hear.
Yeah,
it is.
and I think to your point, Eric, like it makes you more grateful for the other things you do when you start putting that time into the things that you really love. I think it also makes you more grateful for the other parts of your day, like your job. If it's not your dream job necessarily, I still think it makes you grateful because it allows you to do those things that you love.
Yeah.
In a sense. I think.
It's hard. Yeah, it's important to not take it for granted. I read this book called The Spark and the Grind, and it was a good book for me to read because it talked a lot about, we lose touch with creativity as adults and blah, blah, blah. But it said, you have to appreciate your day job too. It does afford you some things, and you do learn a lot there also that you can apply to other things. And it just kind of becomes a melting pot. What I learn there helps me here. What I learn here helps me there. And it's all kind of coming together and, allows me to take care of my family. So that's a whole different topic in and of itself. I was really curious about the archery stuff because you're teaching people how to do something. And I think there's a lot of folks that are scared, not scared like, ooh, it's a scary thing, but scared to be vulnerable, to learn something new at a later age in an industry like hunting, where there's a lot of guys and gals that are rough around the edges that come from this blue collar world that might appear to be prickly, even though they're not. Like Greg looks like a fucking grizzly bear. So if you didn't know him, you wouldn't know he's a teddy bear. But,
Thanks, Eric.
You look at that and you go, man, these guys and gals have all of these fancy things. These bows are intimidating. There's all this stuff. And so for you to kind of be their Sherpa and carry them through it, especially women too, like that's even a whole nother layer deeper of difficulty. And it's like when you go to the gym and you're out of shape, you're like, well, fuck, that guy's ripped or that girl's ripped. I have no chance to get to that. And then you become self-defeating before you even start. And so it's good that there's folks like you that are doing something to bring people into the space. I'll let you kind of respond to that.
And I got a question to add to that too. So when you're done.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I think something that I'm still getting used to is being told that people are intimidated by me, to your point. And I feel like if you know me as a person, I am definitely not intimidating as a human being.
I'm pretty
I
scared of
definitely
you.
don't try to be. But I get told that a lot, that I intimidate people, and that is a hard thing for me. And I know it comes from like what you're saying, like, oh, you're so skilled in ABC, and I just get so, like, every time I do a class, every time I work with somebody, and it's mostly adult women, and they go to the line for the first time and shoot that arrow, it's kind of like this deep breath that happens after, like, okay, that wasn't as bad as I thought. And then they keep shooting. And 9 times out of 10, they're like, this is pretty badass. And they feel really good about themselves. Like they aren't, it's really rare that someone puts the bow down and thinks this isn't for them. And the first time I did a class, which was kind of on accident, and I saw that, it just felt really right. Like I needed to do this, and I needed to introduce this sport. I feel like I'm a recruiter by day. People is my thing. And so I feel like I'm good at connecting with people, making them feel comfortable and making them feel like they can be themselves. So I think if I can pair that with archery, which is like helped me be my best self, like that's a really, really good feeling. And I don't know what else I could say about that, but it's really cool to see people come in a little nervous, a little scared, and then by a couple arrows in, they just let their walls down and they're laughing and they're having a good time.
That's awesome. I'm trying to get my wife to go and shoot bow and arrow, and she's done it before, as a younger person, probably in high school. But there's always I remember hitting myself in the arm once, and it really didn't feel so good. So I don't know if I really want to do that. I'm like, well, they make compound bows. You can shoot a compound. Just like, no, I don't want to do the compound. I want to do a real bow. Oh, okay. Struggle stick. You want to really get educated or see frustration. But she's pretty determined. But if she sets her mind to something, she'll just go and do it, and everything will be fine. So with that, it'd be nice to see her pick it up and do it, but there isn't anybody around my area that does that I'm aware of. And again, we haven't looked real hard either. So when you're going to do all this, you're putting together a class to show them how to shoot. Where do you get the bows from? Is it one of those things where you're going like to a pro shop to ask them for like a sponsorship, or you're working with a bow company? How does that come about?
Yeah, it's been multiple things working in tandem. So I bought a couple bows myself, just some I just need a couple of them to start. I reached out to Genesis Bows, who's owned by Matthews. If people aren't familiar with Genesis, they're beginner compound bows for the most part, and you can customize them to be for more like kiddos or for grown adults or for hunting. And they're pretty affordable. I reached out to them, told them what I was doing, the idea for the company, what I was, my vision, and they worked with me on getting better pricing for the bows and kind of sponsored me in a sense. So not for free, but then what I did was I reached out I have a trailer. My dad actually surprised me for Christmas and bought me an enclosed trailer. Well, he traded a toolbox for it. My family is a big bartering family. I grew up pretty poor. Everything I've ever had hunting related, my first bird dog, my first gun, my first bow, my dad traded something in for it so I could do those things. And my trailer was the same way. He traded in a Snap-on toolbox for this trailer.
Yeah, those things
for
aren't
me.
cheap. Holy crap.
And no. And honestly, obviously my dad is the reason I'm into hunting, and he is the reason that I am still into it. He's by far my favorite hunting partner I've ever had. But he got me this trailer so I could go around for my events, and he was going to do a little workshop inside so I could work on bows and everything. And then I had a couple companies say, hey, I'll sponsor you. I'll help you. One of them being Whitetails Unlimited in Iowa. And the way that they sponsored me, they actually had multiple Genesis bows that they use for events, but no one ever uses them. No one around here puts those events together. So they're like, you can use our bows whenever you want to, if you just, make sure to talk about us and our partnerships together. So that was another way for me to have free bows. And National Wild Turkey Federation was the same way. And now I have an awesome relationship with the Iowa DNR. So I own about 5 or 6 bows of my own. And then I borrow an additional 5 from Whitetails, an additional 2 from National Wild Turkey Federation. And then I have access to quite a few from the DNR, depending on the size of my events. So some of them are mine, some of them are sponsored, some of them are borrowed.
How
It
exciting.
just depends on the magnitude of what I'm doing. Yeah.
You must have been so jacked
Awesome.
making those initial calls, to get that buy-in, because you're doing it for such a bigger cause. That must have been a great feeling.
It's this community is, especially when it's conservation, when you pull back into conservation, the community is rock solid. They're just great people, and they want to see this world survive and thrive. So they will bend over backwards for you. I just think you just have to not be afraid to ask or put yourself out there. If I hadn't said something, I would have had no idea that this was even available to me. I really didn't have any idea.
How cool is that?
Yeah, it takes a village to raise a hunter. So you've done well with that. You've established your village.
Yeah, and you have a good following, right?
Thank you.
You've done a good job with reaching out to people and staying connected and actually building a real community, not just getting followers and likes and all that bullshit. You're literally developing and curating relationships with people and helping them and meeting them in face to face, which that's a challenge that we're going to be facing right now as a globe with the coronavirus. But I think because you've had a lot of that face-to-face interaction in the rearview mirror, that's going to make it really easy for you to stay connected with people socially. digital social, whatever.
Yeah, I think so. I've said this, and Eric, I know you and I have talked about this before, but some of it really started with some of the conservation groups I was a part of. But once I started doing the podcast and it's only been since October, so I'm just overwhelmed by the amount of good people I've connected with, from being able to go fly fishing to coon hunting and snow goose hunting to resources and sponsorships. Every person I've ever had on the podcast has become either my friend or has become my friend, but has also become like my backbone. Like every one of them is supportive of me, like I'm supportive of them. And it's just, it's a really beautiful and fulfilling thing. And I know that, I know you've had a similar experience too. So, yeah, it just makes me extremely happy.
That's pretty cool. I mean, it's a great way to tie it all together. I mean, you already have a built-in community. We had Mark Kenyon on a while back now, like in January, which feels like yesterday. And he's like, I was doing all this writing and blogging and doing writing for publications. And he said, so when I decided to do a podcast, like I just had this audience already that liked me and knew me. And so it was the next logical transition for you. That sounds very similar, but in a different way. Like you're creating events and bringing people together and doing training and learnings and education. And so I feel like, the next logical thing is a podcast, which you've done. And then those people are enthused and excited to be in your corner and cheering you on because they've met you. That's powerful stuff for both sides of that equation, for you and them. It's like this perpetuating kind of cyclical, circle. Like you put in what you get out, and then you get out what you put in, and it just keeps going and feeding itself. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. Super grateful.
So, okay, I'm just gonna, while we're chatting here really quick, I'm gonna show off your website just so people get a good flavor of like what it is. So, and I spelled it wrong. It's Woods and Waters Project. And so you're doing work just to like, kind of bring everything through before we get into the most memorable hunt and all that stuff. But like workshops and events, stories and resources, bringing outdoorsmen together. We talked a lot about the workshops and some of the different events. What else? Are we missing anything? Is there anything else that we should be talking about when it comes to this?
Well, I think, a big focus for me this year is I really enjoy writing, and I know that Greg is a new blogger, so maybe I could learn some things from him, but
no, you're going to get stupider if you try reading my stuff. You need to just follow your paths and keep on moving. Keep her moving.
I would like to share more writing wise on the site, definitely, but something I've been playing around with, and I know that this is something I want to do, it's a whole nother animal, is the video side of things and the YouTube side of things. But I struggle so much. I tried this. Last year I went on a boundary water trip with two of my best girlfriends, and I tried to videotape as much of it as I could. And I was going to share it, like 3 girls, backwaters, just having this adventure. I tried doing the same thing with the snow goose hunt, and it was just it's so hard for me to be in the moment and also remember to do video. Because when you're doing video, you want to show all the as many details as you can, tell the whole story. And it's hard. If you've ever done video, it's really hard to be in the moment and enjoy hunting or the outdoors for the reason that you enjoy it, and also videotape it with an audience.
You seem like the kind of person that needs to be in the moment. Like I see that being a particularly difficult challenge for you. I'm similar. I can't. I bought a DSLR. I was going to do it. I was like, I'm going to make YouTube videos. And I was like, day one, I sold the camera basically. I was like, no, not going to do this. I mean, it was a pretty quick decision for me.
Yeah, because pictures are one thing, because you can take the picture, put it down, come back to it later. But video, it has to be much more involved. And kudos to people who can do it. It's really difficult.
Yeah, and there's a couple doing a good job with it. Growing Wild's got my attention. Chase Nation's got my attention. There's a couple folks doing a good job. Byron with the Whitetail Experience is doing a good job. There's a couple of exemplars right now that are just capturing such a good story. But if you're not good at getting the story and you're just running a camera, then it becomes self-defeating anyways. You might as well put the camera down. If you can't tell a story, then just give up.
Yeah. Yeah.
That might sound mean, but I have coffee and scotch. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've been double fisting this whole time. I got coffee in one hand and scotch in the other, so I'm not really sure what's happening with the mixture.
Irish coffee.
Irish
almost,
coffee.
Then.
Irish coffee.
Yeah.
Sip the coffee, chase it with whiskey, or with the scotch. Drink the scotch, chase it. It's like been the whole time.
I'm drinking wine and Miller Lite, so you're like a lot classier than I am, for sure.
I don't know. I mean, that's the wine really kind of evens that out. And the Miller Lite's just kind of like intermission. You got to have some water to stay hydrated. That's funny. Greg, I interrupted you per usual. You were going to say something special, I think.
No, there's nothing special. Just that I partook in a few Yangling here.
Oh, Yinglings are good.
It might have been smuggled. Smuggled across the border.
They ain't from these parts. Where'd you get the Yingling from, you son of a bitch?
Well, I tell you, but I'd have to kill you.
All right. You know, I didn't see Hubbleton at the liquor store. What the hell's that all about?
I think there's a coronavirus shortage or something. Not 100%
Corona sales got to be doing great.
I know I haven't seen Porter. Yeah, I haven't seen the Porter out in a while. I'm not sure what's going on there.
I don't know. Pretty weird. You know what there's not a shortage of? Scotch.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. There's a lot we could talk about, and here's what we're doing with the Where to Hunt podcast. We're doing a part one. So we're getting to know you on this episode. The audience is getting to know you. We're skimming the surface on a lot of things. So we're going to invite you back at some point here in the near future, and we're going to go into a part two, and we'll dig deeper. But
dude, do you know how many people we owe a part two to already?
All of them. All of them. But that's whatever. Hey, we're going to do that. We're good. I'm good on my word. But
that you are.
I planted the seed earlier today. When we were texting about prepping and stuff, and hopefully you've been thinking about it, Steph, but I want you to share your most memorable hunt with us.
Yeah. Okay. So this might be a corny answer, but I think it's always going to be the first memory, but then it's always the last one and the next one. You know what I mean? So I love hunting in the outdoors as a whole. It's really hard for me to pick one thing. Snow goose hunting was my last hunting experience, and I am going to be thinking about that until I go to Nebraska with my little brother turkey hunting. You know what I mean? So that it's just going to be stuck in my head. I enjoy the process and every type of hunt so much. So it's definitely the last one and then the next one, just getting excited for the next experience. But definitely if I had to pick one, it would be the first time I went hunting with my dad. It's just to be just barely 5 years old and vividly remembering loading up in a truck with my uncle and my cousin and my dad and going out to a marsh, and we stood up against a tree and he stood next to me and held a shotgun up to my shoulder when I was 5 years old, and watching the ducks fly through the trees. And I remember him wading out into the water and picking up the ducks out of the water, and one of them wasn't quite dead. So kind of wringing its neck a little bit and just looking at me oh my God, I'm about to ruin her. And I just vividly remember that and how I was kind of what's happening? But I somehow decompartmentalized that and just knew this was something special to do with my family and with my dad and to bond with him. It was the same month that my little brother was born. So it was a thing you're going to learn this so you can do this with your little brother someday. And here I am in my late 20s doing this with my little brother. So it just always comes back to that. Waterfowl hunting isn't necessarily my favorite thing, but that memory is very vivid to me, it replays the exact same way in my head all the time. And it's just, I've just known from a really young age that this is really important to me. So definitely the first one. And then second would be the last thing I did and the next thing I'm about to do.
That's pretty cool. I think it's really neat to hear. So like, it's just funny. I started this podcast 7 years ago. I can't do math. So I'm 34. That would have made me 26, right? I think. Fuck you, Greg. That would have made me 26. I know he's mumbling something or
You passed that
freaking.
kidney stone yet?
Yeah, it's
Jesus.
difficult. That was just such a different time in my life, and now here I am, 34. I got a son and a daughter. My daughter's 2.5. My son's 6 months, and so I'm not far from the memory you just described. Short of the fact that I don't actually, get any ducks when I hunt ducks, but there's probably gonna be some sort of story around a whitetail, and it's just saying like you're gonna do this with your brother someday, and how awesome that's the legacy that you get to carry forth, that you learn from your dad. And now it's a pastime with you and your brother that has a bond around it that's impermeable. Like, how would you ever break that bond? You can't. And no matter what you guys have going on in your lives outside of that arena, once you get back into that wild space and wherever you're doing that, I bet you the rest of the world just melts away. Because as brother and sister, you guys probably drive each other freaking crazy. Maybe not, but...
He's, we're both in our 20s now, and it's different.
Yeah.
We have a really good relationship.
Well, now there's alcohol.
Yeah. Well, and I don't mean to make this like a sad story, but I feel this last year my brother was in a really bad work accident.
Okay.
He's really lucky to be alive. And it was actually that day we were leaving for Montana to go Merriam turkey hunting together. And he was in a really, really bad accident. An excavator line snapped and threw him basically. And he's a pipe layer for the union. And that day we were going to leave for Montana to go turkey hunting together. And he now has, permanent damage to his kidneys and has to be on dialysis every other day. And he's 24. So, luckily he's young and healthy. When that happened, he recovered in a crazy kind of way, but he can't travel very far. And there's a lot of things that he has to work through right now, but turkey hunting is our thing. So this year, it's all about, he's doing Iowa with me and he's going to Nebraska to get a Merriam with me this year. And so it's even bigger than that. It's something we didn't get to do last year. And honestly, our relationship is just different, perspective. When you almost lose somebody, it just, the fighting and stuff like that, it doesn't
melts away.
It doesn't, we just on Saturday, we went up to some land that we have access to pull some trail cameras and put some new ones up. And it was great. It was a great Saturday. I couldn't have thought of another thing to do, nothing better. So it just, hunting always brings us back to our good place.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that. That's, that's pretty close to the vest.
Not to make it, yeah.
No, that's special. That's very special stuff. That's not a dull drum at all. That's, I think we need to hear that kind of stuff. We want to keep it real, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Wow. Those are good hunts. That's a good story. And you got a lot going on. You have a ton going on. I think you're off to a great start. There's a good friendship forming here. It's just a neat time to be in this space. I think you're going to do a lot of great things. And honestly, there's probably some fun ways we could partner together in the future too with some stuff, because our goal is to lower the barrier for people to get into the outdoors too. So however we can do that, that's something that's really important to us as a brand.
Yeah, we need more people like you to help others get into the outdoor space, whether it's hunting or fishing, hiking, whatever. It's important.
And the boundary water trip, man, there's probably some
Yeah.
good stories in there too that aren't even hunting related. I that was one of my best memories ever as a trip in general. Like, that's a very special place that there's nothing else like it on this green earth that I'm aware of, and that's a really neat place to go visit. It's cool.
It was amazing. It was for three of us, like girls that were, you know, best friends, but we typically, our way of spending time together is boozing, you know? So like to go do something like that and not be drinking, I don't know. And it was just out of our norm as friends, and it made us closer, like without a doubt.
Yeah.
It was very cool.
You get to know people pretty well in that environment. When you can't bust out your phone and separate, you gotta like be in the moment and do some. Yeah, it's. I went with three buddies, three of my closest friends, and during the day we had our moments. We separated and did our own fishing or canoeing or foraging or whatever, and we had jobs we had to do to make sure camp was gonna be running, and then we'd come back together at night once those mosquitoes came out, and we'd be in the tent playing card games and just having a blast. Honestly, super cool.
I'm pretty sure mosquitoes are made there. Like they're born and bred there.
I have some stories.
Every one of them. It's like the worst ever. So
it was
bad.
crazy. My buddy Shane, who tuned in for a little bit, I'm not sure if he's still watching. I don't think he is, but he's like immune to mosquitoes. And it's like so much so that I get a tick in my eye thinking about it. Like it stresses me out. And I remember he had ran out of the tent to get something, and he's out there. And we can see the light was hitting him just right, where there must have been 1,000 mosquitoes on his face. And we're like, get in the tent, get in the tent. You would have thought like it was a zombie apocalypse out there, the way we were screaming. And he's just laughing. He's like, what? We're like, oh my God, get in the freaking tent, you psycho. There's 1,000 mosquitoes on you. What is wrong with you? Man. No, I hate mosquitoes so bad. So much.
Me
Stupid
too.
devil bugs ruin everything.
They were that was the worst part for sure. Was the mosquitoes.
Yeah. You think of these wild places and you see the Instagram photos, like that's beautiful, and like you don't really know what's going on there. There's like horse flies and what are the other flies? The ones that just bite? Are they called biting flies, Greg?
Deer flies, black flies,
those
no-see-ums. There's a bunch of different things that can get you.
Then the mosquitoes and the gnats. It's like, yeah, dude, no.
And leeches. Leeches really
F
bad
that noise.
because every time you have to pour
And you
it,
can't
have to
forget-
walk into the
You
water.
can't forget ticks
Yeah.
either.
Oh, the ticks.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, nature's a
you
real
find them
bitch.
later on after they've
Why do we like nature so much? What's wrong with us? Spiders? Like, come on. Are you kidding me?
Rattlesnakes, scorpions when you go into Arizona.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
It's pretty cool, he says. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty cool when you have to check your boots. Remember being in the desert. Hey, check your boots before you put your boots on. All right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was real. I check my boots religiously. You would not see me put my boots on without checking them. Cool. Steph, how do people find you? Where do they go? What should they do when they get there?
You can find me on Instagram at my personal page is Wild and Route or Steph Busenbark. And otherwise, Woods and Waters Project is Woods and Waters Project on Instagram or www.woodsandwatersproject.com.
Cool. And that's waters plural, not like I goofed it up. So
Yes.
woods
Wood
and waters.
with an S, Waters, S, yeah.
Super cool. Cool. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end the live broadcast. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Make sure you go check Steph's stuff out. Go to woodsandwatersproject.com. And it looks like you can get to everywhere you need to go from there. So thank you very much for tuning in. We'll have this thing buttoned up tonight in podcast land.